Julie? Cross my fingers and pray. This is a call to order for the July 16th, 2025 meeting of the Town of Woodside Planning Commission. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call, please.
Chair Weaver,
Present.
Commissioner Apfel,
Present.
Commissioner Tauber,
Present.
Vice Chair Gar, and Commissioner Ganerko are noted absent.
Are there any changes to the agenda as published?
There are no changes to the agenda. However, you do have 3 desk items related to item number 2 at 1385 Kenyatta Road. 2 of the desk items are from the neighbor, and 1 is a response from the applicant. And we'll go into more details during the presentation.
We will now open the public comment period. This is a period for interested citizens and residents of Woodside to comment on items which are not on tonight's agenda, but which are of interest to the town of Woodside and its planning department and planning commission. Any items brought up during the public comment period cannot be acted upon tonight, but staff or commissioners can take notes, and such items can be added to the agenda of a future meeting. So is there anyone here that would like to speak on an item that is not on tonight's agenda, either live or on Zoom?
For those on Zoom, please use the raise hand feature if you'd like to make a comment. And I see no raised hands online.
Given that, and no one in the room that wishes to speak, I will close the public comment period. We will move on to the consent calendar, which is approval of the meeting minutes from the Planning Commission meeting on June 11th. Do any of the commissioners or members of staff have any revisions, elaborations, further comments, or corrections to the meetings before we consider whether we're going to approve them or not?
I have none.
None for me.
Absent that, I would entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
I will second it.
Chair Weaver,
Yes.
Commissioner Apfel,
Yes.
and Commissioner Tauber.
Yes.
So approved. We will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is a public hearing for 1355 Kenyatta Road, which is a project which involves a pool enclosure and associated structures. And presenter on that will be Keigo Yamamoto.
Hello and thank you. Tonight, I'll be presenting the variance application for 1385 Kenyatta Road. And this is a presentation for a variance to relocate the pool equipment into the required front setback, which was previously approved by the setback exception application from the January 22nd, 2025 Planning Commission hearing to encroach into the required side setback, as well as to construct new exterior roof beams from the ADU within the required setback, connecting to an outdoor kitchen roof structure, also approved by that previously approved setback exception application from the January 2025 hearing. So this application is also categorically exempt under the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA guidelines, section 15303, section E, which is new construction of small structures, including small structures and swimming pools. And so as Sage mentioned, there are 3 desk items before you tonight. And so 2 of them are from an adjacent neighbor on the southwest at 115 Dean Road. And the third desk item is the response from the applicant in regards to desk item number 2. So to quickly summarize the desk items before you, the adjacent neighbor is noting that the Planning Commission consider that the noise relating to the pool equipment be of discussion for tonight's hearing, specifically for mitigating noise. And the first desk item actually was for that the pool house at 1385 Kenyatta Road, the equipment to be left at its present location, or if the Planning Commission were to grant them to move it closer to their property, that it requests that it be placed in an enclosed shed with a covered top so that they wouldn't hear any noise from the unit. And their reasoning is that the location being requested puts the pool pump / motor right above their bedrooms from their house, and the pool equipment can be noisy and could possibly affect their sleep. And today we received a response from the applicant, desk item number 3, noting that they contacted the neighbor and discussed the noise concerns related to the pool equipment area, and that they also attached a memo and updated drawings addressing the sound issue, and proposed an enclosure with a closed top full of pool equipment, and the detail can be further explained by the applicant during their portion of the presentation. So to give you a background of the project site, the subject site is approximately 4.18 acres and is accessed from a private roadway that connects to Kenyatta Road. The lot is long and narrow and extends to a designated stream corridor at the rear property line. The overall site is relatively flat on the front southwestern portion, where much of the development has developed, including the existing main residence. And on the northeastern side, it drops significantly with a steep decline from the center to the northeastern side. The site contains one existing driveway that begins at the end of the private roadway. And the project site also includes a public utilities easement and a roadway easement along the northwestern side. And so as designated by the town, the property line designations have made it so that the narrow side is the front setback, and the long sides reaching all the way to the stream corridor would be designated as the sides. So going back to here, this would be designated as the front. These two narrow sides are the side property lines, and that portion adjacent to the creek would be the rear property line. And as discussed earlier, this application was previously approved under the setback exception from the January 22nd, 2025 Planning Commission hearing. And from that meeting, it was approved that the pool equipment would be located within the side setback on the northwestern side, as well as the outdoor barbecue area on the southwestern side, as well as an encroachment for the pool area on the western side. So for this project, the applicant is proposing to relocate the pool equipment from that previously approved location from the side setback to now being in this front setback in front of the ADU unit. And the pool itself would not be relocated in this project. However, the applicant is also proposing these roof beam connections connecting from the ADU to the outdoor unit, citing a better connectivity between the two structures. And you can see the greater detail of these two encroachments on the right side here. The applicant has also proposed, showed sections as part of their project plans, so elevations. And this is the side of the ADU on the, if you look towards the northeastern side. And so this would be the side of the ADU unit. And the applicant is proposing an enclosed shed to cover the pool equipment. This is the another elevation view. And the roof beams, as you can see, are extended from the ADU structure to that open. It would now be an open trellis instead of a covered barbecue area as previously approved, as well as the location of that pool equipment shed on the right side. The applicant has also shown updated renderings from that previously approved setback plans. And so you can see to a greater extent the roof beams, as well as the area where that pool equipment storage would be located. The applicant has also provided a physical materials board, but just for the people online and for the audience, these are the proposed materials. And the following findings are provided by the applicant for this variance application. And to quickly summarize, the applicant has stated that the variance would move the originally approved pool equipment location that was previously far from the pool, partially underground and invisible, to a now new proposed location that is screened and no longer visible from any public or private neighbors or from vantage points that were previously seen from the setback exception application. And also that the project is fully screened and quiet, reduces visibility, noise, and disruption compared to the previously approved location, and that the exterior roof beams are open, visually minimal, and would not affect neighbors or the public, and improves the appearance and usability of the backyard space. And that the proposed variance does not grant any special privilege, and many nearby properties have similar constraints, and the exterior roof beams is modest and simply revising a detached roof to a lighter connected design without increasing mass or impact. So planning is also, staff has also provided the recommending findings for approval of the requested variance. This is from the staff report. To quickly summarize, the encroachment of the pool equipment follows an existing pattern of development within the required setbacks due to the shape, size, and topography of the surrounding areas and lots, and that the relocated pool equipment would no longer be partially buried into the grade and thus would not disturb the existing grade of the project site. And the visibility of the exterior roof beams closest to the adjacent neighbors would not encroach any closer than the approved locations of the ADU and the open trellis barbecue area, and thus will not be detrimental to the public welfare. And lastly, the proposed variance is consistent with the Town of Woodside General Plan Guidelines, Policies, Open Space 1.1, and the Conservation Element 1.1 and Conservation Element 1.2, which aim to preserve natural features, protect riparian corridors, and conserving open space. And the applicant has installed story pools prior to the hearing date, and the applicants are also in attendance to answer any questions. And staff concludes the presentation. Thank you.
Matt, do you have questions for staff?
Thank you. I'm just taking some notes. Had the opportunity to go visit the site. I don't think I was present for the original presentation, so I just have a couple of quick questions. So I just am understanding what we're dealing with. The ADU is as of right, yes? Like that's not what we're discussing here tonight. It is really only the decision to move this and to add move the pool equipment and add or modify, I'll call it, what the connectivity between the outdoor structure and the ADU. But we're not talking about the ADU, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so nothing has changed in that part of the project, even if it had, it's not an issue for us to address right now.
Correct.
Okay, great. I guess my only other question is probably best served for the applicant, so I'll hold for now.
Alex, and remember to use the microphone so we don't get dinged.
I think staff has to kind of, either got new batteries or we got a new system or maybe we got better users. I got a question for the staff. The second bullet point of the applicant's reason for seeking this variance alluded to the fact that there's less noise. And then we get these emails from the neighbor stating that it's right below their bedroom and they're concerned about noise. And I understand that the applicant has taken the steps to mitigate that noise. But if you can give me some context of where the neighbor's bedroom is in relation to the pool equipment and what the town's position, especially after you've got the attachment from the applicant, that would be helpful.
We'll pull up the adjacent residence maps to show the differences. In terms of pool equipment, it does create noise. It is, somewhat less noisy than, say, an HVAC unit, but noisier than nothing being there, I guess, is the comparison. So the applicant has proposed moving this location. It's a different location, and therefore it will affect different neighbors differently. And so, so the applicant, with the desk item, has at least reviewed all of the concerns by the neighbor and provided more details and some adjustments to help attenuate that noise better by having noise attenuation materials, as well as putting a top on the fenced area, which wasn't proposed before, so that should help out. But here, Kego is showing the distance to the proposed residence, to the existing residence on the adjacent sites. So the closest point that you see there is about 57 feet to the. I'm sorry, could you use the microphone and speak into it, especially for the people online? That's the only way they can hear.
I know that the applicant, based on the attachment, is gonna use better materials as far as noise attenuation. And I out of everything that the neighbor requested, how reasonable is it to restrict the pumps from being used only in the day?
I would suggest it's something that would be very difficult to enforce.
Great.
And so whether the town places such a condition, happens at nighttime, it is gonna be something that would hearsay, maybe someone could take videos and sound of it to turn that into the town. But once it's approved and installed, there's little recourse that the town could have to require them to move it or take it out completely.
Thank you.
Matt, I believe you had another question?
I did. I was intending to hold off on the second applicant's finding until the applicant, but Alex graciously opened the door. But I have a procedural question, which is how are we supposed to consider applicants' findings versus staff's findings? Like, what is the controlling, is there a controlling finding? Or or do we look at everything? Can you give me a little bit of color on how we're supposed to consider that?
So what you're looking at is a recommendation from staff in the draft resolution. And so those are the recommended findings. The applicant sometimes provides different reasoning. Staff tries to look at things independently. Sometimes the applicant has reasons in which staff agrees with. Sometimes staff has other reasoning for findings. So the Planning Commission is looking at what is recommended right now in the draft resolution. And the Planning Commission may modify that resolution if it determines that any findings should be changed. So if there's something that you think should be added or removed from any of the recommended findings, which could include something that the applicant has proposed, that can be added into the resolution.
Thank you for clarifying. That's all I have, I promise.
Well, Kego, thank you very much for putting this presentation together. I particularly liked the last diagram that you showed that showed the neighboring houses and whatnot. Just to clarify for anyone that might be listening to this live or looking at it in future, the previous proposed location for the enclosure, as on your first diagram, that was on the side of the property that's basically the end of the private road, correct?
Correct, on the opposite side of that private road.
And from my previous site visit in January for this, that previous location, that was not anywhere near anyone's bedroom. I mean, because of the locations of the adjacent houses on that side of the property. I mean, there was nothing that was close because this property is at the end of the private road, correct?
Yes, actually, I can pull this up really quickly.
That'd be great.
So the previously approved location of that pool equipment area was around this area. And so at its closest, it would have been approximately 55 feet away from that 1367 residence. And so the closest that this would be from the new location of that pool equipment will be approximately 57 feet.
I would add that on the side closest to the road, it'd probably be a little bit more than that. That's just the horizontal distance. If you did the diagonal distance, it would probably be around 60 feet.
That was my impression from my site visit. But that's it as far as questions that I had for you.
That was my observation for the record. I was at the property a couple of days ago and I observed the same thing, that the house presently affected is much closer. I didn't measure, but it seems much closer than anything across the street or across the private driveway, which is essentially a road.
So absent more questions for Kego, shall we go ahead and let the applicant present and speak? I will take that as a yes.
And just for the audience, we're going to have, the applicant is online and they're
Yes.
going to give a presentation, and then you'll definitely have an opportunity to speak.
You will have a chance to speak during the public comment period. We want to hear what you have to say.
Start?
Go for it.
Okay. My name is Peter Mason. I'm architect with Mason Architects, my firm. We have been working on this project, as you can see, for quite a while here, but not the last year. If you've been out on site, you've seen that the ADU is under construction right now. And there's a few things we'd just like to add to a little bit. I think the main discussion is really about noise. So I thought maybe what we ought to, because I think Kago did a great job of, presenting the overall. The thing that's on the screen right now is the property across the street. For a plan we did for them for an ADU. Just as an option of what people might do on that piece of property. It was an ADU, 2-bedroom ADU. The bedrooms were on the street side. And one of the things, and the reason we're really trying to want to move the pool equipment is that it was basically a huge, ugly bunker coming up the road. I mean, it was set back. It had to be set back about 10, 15 feet off the road. And in order to so it had retaining walls that ran all the way out to the road. So it was kind of a strange depression thing that went there. And a lot of that had to do with how we were trying to protect, A, get access to it, and B, minimize the noise. So in this case, we did a similar thing where we had an access point. It was sticking out of the ground about 2.5 feet, had a roof on it, had doors on it similar to what we're proposing on the current one, but it stuck out of the ground a ways. And it was kind of a strange location, but because it was really the only place we could really see to put it that wasn't either further down next to the neighbor across the road or anywhere else. And it's not very convenient for both servicing or visually. So what we talked about was trying to get the units moved back around where the ADU is. And what we've been proposing is that enclosure be very much as, well, let's call it bulletproof or noise proof as we can make it. The walls around it are going to be CMU that are filled with mortar, as a typical structural CMU wall might be. It would have a roof on it, and it would have doors, all of which have sound attenuation to them. Yuki, can you go to the one that's got the blow up and the images? Can you downsize it just slightly so we can see go back to photos where the photos are? We had a couple of photos we dug up. This is the corner. The one on the left-hand upper left is the corner that is adjacent to the neighbor's house. It's that whole zone there. As you can see, it's pretty well landscaped and hidden from it, which we thought was a good way so that nobody's really looking at it or dealing with it. And then by studying the noise issues with it, what we found was, at 57 feet, there's a website that goes through and says, okay, if you have a noise this pump that we're putting in is a much more expensive pump, and is basically has multiple versions, it has multiple speeds. Obviously, the higher the speed is, the noisier it is. And these are the dB levels for which one of those are, which at the low speed is 45 to 50 decibels. The medium is 55 to 60, and the high speed is 70. That's if you're, and these are what those mean is, at 50, it's a quiet conversation or a running fridge. Medium speed is normal conversations, and 70 is vacuum cleaner, busy office, which that's if there's nothing around it. So the enclosure that we're proposing drops those down by 51 and drops them to the range of 19 at 70. 14 at 65 and 60 is 9. And if you go to the next one. So what we did was we ran, there's ways to run there's a calculation thing on a website. Go down to the next thing, which you put in what the rates are. So on the right-hand side is a 50 decibels, which is I think these are back. It's the high speed. Well, it's the low speed. Drops it down to 13. And what 13 is like what breathing is in an enclosure that's doing a 50 decibel reduction. So all of them get down to very quiet elements based on the enclosure. Based on that distance. So we at 57 or 60 feet, the decibel levels drop from what would be 70 at the high, when the high speed drop from 70 down to 33. And second thing is that the pumps don't run all the time. I forgot to mention this, but the owner was anticipating being here, and he ended up on a flight that got delayed, and he's somewhere over Iowa at this point. But he also said that he's willing to make it so that the pumps don't run at night from a certain time to a certain time. And we can talk about what those might be if you'd like. You go to 14. Oh, up there. Okay. There's a very crude sketch. There's in that, I think it's in the desk item. There's a very crude sketch from the pool contractor of the shed. But it's a lot more sophisticated than that in terms of what we're doing. The whole exterior walls are cement block. There's one door access into it, and then there's a lifting hood or on top. And then the whole thing is clad in the same finishes as the ADU itself. So that's what we're proposing to deal with the noise issue that the neighbors brought up. I think it drops it quite a bit further. And given all the landscaping and screening, I think that helps as well. The owner is also proposing that if there's any issues that come up as time goes on, he's willing to put up a solid fence along that side using the existing fencing locations. And then these are the views of what the proposed is. So this is showing the fences as they exist in the sketches. And the beams that connect the barbecue area to the ADU. That whole area is an outdoor entertainment zone. It has a solid wall across the back to cut down noise. There's quite a bit of landscaping. There's quite a bit of landscaping all the way along that side. Does anybody have any questions?
Matt, do you want to start off?
Sure. Thank you for the presentation. I guess my question is related to the decision to move the pool equipment. I think it's pretty unusual, at least in my time on the planning commission, to have a kind of a redo in the middle of a project. What prompted, I know you described you know, the convenience factor, servicing, the ugly structure, the original plan, but what moment prompted the decision to move all of this? What did you do? Did you discover something along the way?
Well,
Just-
he hadn't had a whole lot of discussions with the pool contractor. And when they got into that, it was, you know, you can't have the pumps below the pool surface, they're too far away. There's, you know, that kind of stuff. Pool contractor stuff.
Okay, and I'm not trying to be a hammer, I'm just trying to understand. So you came and you went, you had a design approved, but you hadn't yet really spec'd it out with the pool contractor. Is that
No,
fair? Is that a
no,
fair way to characterize it?
Yes, I mean, we were still in schematics on the project at that point in time, and as we got into it, it was a very complicated thing. It didn't seem to make sense to anybody.
Thank you. I just was really trying to drill into that because again,
Yeah,
you go from design
understood.
to something very different.
Yeah.
My only other question until we hear from the other commissioners is, why not keep the existing location and do something more elegant there, or fix or upgrade the existing design? Like, what have you explored options that would enable you to solve the problem without us having to grant any kind of a variance or?
Well, the only thing would be to blow it even further into the ground, which just makes the equipment harder to maintain. B, is much more, causes much more wear and tear on the thing because it's below grade. And it's got to pump stuff up instead of basically horizontal. And I don't think it helps noise particularly for any of the other neighbors.
Yeah, okay, I understand.
think-
My
I
only
think-
pushback there would be that I haven't gone to this property. I feel like the neighbors on the north side of that road are not the issue. It's the one that is very close,
Oh, I know.
actually, the home
No,
behind
absolutely.
the house.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, that's all the questions I have for now. I might have another one depending on where the discussion goes.
All right.
You did a great job thumbing through different images. Can you go back to the one that had 3 panes and talked about the reduction of noise? Yeah, before that one, there was the benchmark where you said, you know, it's a quiet conversation. I just want to get a baseline when I see this slide. So just so that I understand this slide, this is assuming no enclosure.
Just if you could speak into the microphone.
This is assuming no enclosure on the left side. The pump is running at high speed. This is 33.7. And that's assuming,
That's just by the drop. That's just by the distance.
okay. So if
It
I
does
put
not
it,
include the enclosure.
okay. So just by the distance, it reduces it to 33.7. And then the second one is the pump running at medium speed, no enclosure. Just by the distance, it reduces it from 65 to 23.7. Is that correct?
Correct. And the other one is supposed to be the low speed.
Got it. What happens when you put an enclosure?
Enclosure naturally drops it from 70. The enclosure is basically the wall is a 51 STC, so it drops it by 51, it drops them to 19. So it's going to be even quieter than that.
Okay, so if I apply the 51 to the figures that you slide, the 50,
It's a negative number theoretically, which I don't think even.
got it, got it. Okay. So basically what you're telling me is if I look at those 3 panes and I apply 51, there's no noise. that the conclusion?
That's what we believe is happening, yes.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
It's a fully enclosed, it's a top, on all three sides, and one of the sides backs up to the house.
So these three panes are exclusively the distance. And then if I
Yes.
apply the table above, which is the enclosure, I get a further reduction.
Correct.
Got it. Thank you. You did a much better job than I would have done on my own, so thank you.
Let's see, as far as questions that I have, it is certainly understandable, the desire of both the owners and you as the architect to try and tuck the pool equipment away in a corner of the lot. Due to the lot constraints, it seems like the spots that are most aesthetically pleasing for the owners are locations for the pool equipment that are within the setbacks. Is that a correct estimate of the situation?
Well, there's not a whole lot of places on that site to put stuff. I mean, the problem with that site inherently is that it's got 4.8 acres, but everything is shoved to the front of the property. To the front edge. And and when we went through the pool and all the other stuff, there's really no other place, the whole house orients towards the view of the Western Hills. And the pool runs on center line of the main residence, living rooms, dining rooms, all that other stuff. And then we put the ADU, we didn't want to take out the trees on the other side, and we don't want the ADU to be right on the road when we had, a screened area at the backside of it, that back corner.
Once this project is complete, what will be the remaining square footage of the lawn?
It's limited to the area. It's really limited. I mean, there's a stretch across the back of the pool, but there's also the only other stretch is over on it's on the Kenyatta roadside, the Kenyatta, extension.
So the photo shown here, the green area is the pool deck and not lawn per se?
There's no pool that is lawn.
Okay.
So
And so what's the
we've
square
limited
footage
the
of that?
pool deck. We've limited the pool deck to the area around around the ADU and the entertainment area, which is that in the area in front of the house. And then we've left the rest of it as lawn. So the pool at the end sits within the lawn.
But from a pure mechanical standpoint, as opposed to an aesthetic standpoint, there are physical locations where you could put the pool equipment, but they would impact the visual sight lines for the owners, correct?
Yeah, and cut down the amount of lawn area that's there. I mean, if you put it where we originally had it over on on the other side, it takes care of, I mean, it basically, like, I think it was back behind the second line. I don't remember which one it was. But it basically destroys that whole area.
Um, and then one of the items mentioned in the application was the original location with the pool equipment semi-buried. One of the rationales was less disturbance of the site by not burying it. I believe that was part of the text in the application for the variance.
Yes, yeah, well, yeah, I mean, if you look at where the roadway is out there and it's back almost 16 feet from that road, edge of the road.
Yeah.
So it's really back into that limited area where they have lawn area and that kind of stuff.
All right, that's it for questions from me.
One quick follow-up, if I could.
Please follow up.
Not necessarily your question, just a new one. Do you feel that, I think I know the answer, but I want to put it on the record. Do you feel that relocating the equipment directly adjacent to the ADU, does that give you more flexibility with materials and concealment? And if so, how?
Well, it diffuses the box sitting out of the ground, the big huge box sitting out of the ground.
I mean, the present location is a big, huge box. Let me ask the question. another way.
No. The other one is a box that's sitting, 30 something inches out of the ground. On that upper section there.
Okay, I understand, but in the new design, you'd have a
In the
shed.
new
that's-
design, what we're trying to do is make it feel like it's part of the ADU structure.
Right. So
While-
that's
while still
that's
doing-
exactly but that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, do you feel that because it's directly adjacent now to the ADU, what advantages do you get in terms of materials you can use, in terms of concealment that you wouldn't have in the other location?
Well, I
If
think
any,
we
the
can,
answer might be none. It's just aesthetic.
yeah, I think we can, I mean, the intent here was to make it look like it's part of the house and it continues the same siding and finishes.
Understood. And what other equipment's inside the ADU? Are there other pieces of equipment inside the ADU that would be making noise as well?
No.
Okay, thank you. No more questions.
Absent any other questions from the commissioners to the applicant? It seems like we're ready to open the public comment period. And so, please. And tell us your name and address, and then let us know what you have to say.
We're the neighbors that are just, so many feet away from. Can you hear me?
That's better.
Yeah, okay. I am Vera Goldsmith and I live right across from where the ADU is going to be. I am looking towards the future for my property. I have children that might want to live there or rent the house out or sell it. So the resale value, I think, is going to go down because of this. Whoever buys it is going to put up a big house and will probably be even closer to the pool unit than we are now. So I'm just trying to find out, what is going to be involved. I don't understand all the noise levels and how that works, or what recourse we would have if it is going to be bothersome. I don't want to be a bad neighbor. I'd like to go along with whatever they want to build, but I do want to protect our interests too. So it just, that pool house is going to be right on top of where my bedroom is. So it is very close. And I'm just curious about what the noise, how bad it will be.
Thank you very much. We appreciate and we want your input on this. Oh,
Hi, my name is Julie Holloway, and I live at 115A Dean Road. We built the ADU last year, and my big concern is right now I can see directly into the ADU. Okay, there is right there, and I was just wondering what they were thinking about doing for privacy, between the two fences, so I literally won't be looking straight into the new house there. It's just a question that I have. Is that something that I have to handle? But we share a common
response?
fence. But right now I can look right into the ADU from where our property is, which is just adjacent to her house.
Sage, correct me if I'm wrong on this, or Jean, if she's online. What we're considering tonight is a variance related to the location of the pool equipment. However, if the applicant would choose to comment based on your question, we can invite the applicant to speak to that point. Is that not correct, Sage?
You are correct. So the item before you is the pool equipment. ADUs have limited review capability, but if the applicant is open to discussion on doing some increased landscaping with the neighbor, that would be something they could comment on.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is there's no windows that are pointed towards the 115 Dean property at all. But that zone on the other, behind the barbecue area, the owner's more than happy to add a bunch of landscaping in there, that whole zone between there and the property. Maybe even further down.
Thank you very much. Julie, is there anyone online that wishes to comment?
For those online, please use the raise hand feature if you'd like to comment. And I see no raised hands.
Absent any further public comments, we will close the public comment period and move on to commissioner discussion.
Well, this is interesting. I definitely feel like this change is a better, more elegant design. Probably should have been considered the first time around. We went over that question with the applicant representatives. And I do think that it affords more opportunity because of the location and the fact that it's right next to that ADU to mitigate noise. And that is the concern. I guess my main problem here is, it's not insurmountable, but my main problem is, I think Alex mentioned it earlier in questions to staff, is how do we enforce this? How do we know? And again, there's no reason to think that applicants are going to say they're going to use one material and then not use it. But the numbers made sense to me despite my misgivings. But what I'm concerned about is that the practice doesn't turn out to be what we're talking about tonight in theory. So that's where I'm trying to get to be able to agree with this variance, because I just don't know how we ensure that level of care and mitigation actually happens.
So with regard to the materials, that's something that the town can enforce. And so if the commission was looking to say, or is comfortable with the items being added by the applicant as part of the desk items, there could be an added condition to ensure that the plans submitted for construction are revised and that they include all of the specifications, materials, and updated plans provided in this desk item. And then when the staff does the plan check, it would ensure all those details as part of the construction plans, and then upon inspection to ensure all of those items are installed.
Thank you, Sage. I'll just say that for me to get behind the variance, it would have to include something along those lines. That's all I have.
Alex?
I was actually, before, until halfway through this hearing, my predisposition was to grant the variance. But after rereading Mrs. Goldsmith's email again and listening to her, I mean, I think her concerns are real. You know, she's concerned, it is close to her property. She's concerned that she's gonna, if that property is sold, the distance is not gonna be 57 or 60 feet, it's gonna be less. And she's concerned about the noise. So I think I am willing to listen before I land hard on this, and usually I land pretty hard. So I'm susceptible to be influenced by both of you, depending on where you're at.
I can see arguments on both sides. From my standpoint, the key is the fact that the reason this is at the Planning Commission is because a variance is required because they're operating within the property setbacks. And they're proposing a structure within the setbacks. And the reason that we have zoning and the reason we have setbacks is to ensure adequate separation and privacy and quiet for the neighbors. The architect is correct. The site is constrained and all of the development is stuffed up at the one end of the site, at the end of the private road. When I did a site visit in January, and this came before the Planning Commission in January, you looked at the proposed site in January and you looked at the fact that this is at the end of a private road. And so the only people that are really coming to the end of the road are people that are visiting the property in question or maybe the nearest neighbor. And then you would look from where the proposed pool equipment was going to be, and you looked at the sight lines and the distances to the houses on that side. And it seemed like there was plenty of separation and, nobody could reasonably complain about it. And in January, we did not have any neighbors that were objecting to it. And, okay, we come and now we're here in July, and I can understand why the owners, it would be better for them visually and flow wise and for the aesthetics of their own property to have it next to the ADU, but that is within the setback, and it is going to be more impactful to the neighbors on that side. And so if we were not talking about putting stuff or putting pool equipment in a setback, I would be very inclined to give the owners the maximum freedom possible. But given the fact that we have neighbors that have expressed concerns, my thought would be to say no to this particular variance. I'm a little bit hesitant to get involved in real-time engineering. Because I know that emails have been going back and forth and responses and proposals for equipment. I'm uncomfortable in trying to tweak the resolution to specify specific materials or specific pumps or specific actions at the detail that was in this email chain. And so my inclination would be to say no to granting this particular variance.
I think I want to be constructive, and I think our issue is with noise. So what they're requesting for as far as barbecue area, trellis structure and all that stuff, like, we don't have an issue with that.
I don't.
I don't.
Yeah. I think our issue is with the noise of the pump.
Yes.
And I think, what I would be comfortable is, look, if you want to put the trellis, the barbecue, all that stuff is fine. But your point being, it's better left to the owner and the neighbor to figure out how to solve this, not us.
I would like not to do real-time engineering on this.
I think I can get behind that.
As can I. Very persuasive.
So the commission would look at, if they're looking to deny the variance, to look at the findings that are required to be made, and then to outline the reasons why one or more of the findings cannot be made. And then staff can make those revisions and bring it back to a future item on consent, denying the variance. If you are inclined to approve the revisions to the barbecue area, you could cite the findings for denial of the pool equipment and condition the approval of the barbecue area for those plans to put the pool equipment back where it was originally approved. That would be two options to look at regarding that location. And then if the commission did want to approve it, we could add the condition that all of the materials that were submitted are incorporated into the plans. That's only if that would, you want to approve the project. So if we want to, we can go through the
applicant has their hand raised.
Can I make a comment?
Absolutely.
Can I offer another option, which is, can we continue this while we work on how we mitigate the neighbors' concerns?
Yeah.
And show you what that does and what we, you know, and what because what we're doing is we're doing quite a bit more than just having equipment sitting behind a fence. This is a, you know, very sound engineered structure of a pool equipment area. And its goal is to mitigate the noise to the neighbor's property. And what I'd like to do is have some more discussions both with the neighbor and with the town in terms of how we can show that that is going to be built that it's going to be built that way, and that will mitigate the noise, and what we can say about how we can mitigate it in the future if there is any noise that's penetrating the neighbors, you know, disturbing the neighbors' sense of quiet. I mean, I'm a resident of Woodside. I know what quiet means, and you know, I can't. And we don't want to, you know, disturb the neighbor's enjoyment of her property or or any future person who lives there. But we would definitely like to, you know, pursue this location.
Sage, how would the logistics work of doing a continuance on this?
the planning commission could make a motion to continue the item to a date uncertain with direction to the applicant. The direction could be something along the lines to meet with the neighbors to make sure they address their concerns, and then also to further prove the noise levels that would occur with any additional evidence. It could be noise studies, it could be other information that they provide that would come back once they have that information. It would be rescheduled for a future planning commission meeting, and that information could be considered. At that time, the planning commission could choose to approve or deny the application.
Fellow commissioners, any thoughts on how we want to go with this?
Yeah, I mean, I welcome the option of continuing, but I want to make sure that we're not punting something that we should decide today. And I think what I mean by that is I'm open to continuing, but there's two goals to the continuance. One is for the applicant to be able to prove that the current location, current materials, everything eh, is acceptable noise, or is not a noise, is not noise pollution for the neighbor. But I think the second part of it is to also listen to the neighbor. And I want to make sure that in listening to the neighbor, it's not pushing something. I mean, the neighbor's got to be comfortable with it. So there may be some give and take on that. So I just want to make sure we're not continuing just to allow pencils to be sharpened, but we're not going to change anything. I think if you're going to talk to the neighbor, I want to make sure that there's a dialogue where both sides are listening to each other. Because that to me strikes me as more constructive and a better reason for continuing rather than both parties doing it through email.
Well, but I totally agree with you. It's got to be a dialogue.
Do you see any advantage in potentially cutting to the chase and approving the relocation of the outdoor dining area and the overhead trellis and denying the moving of the pool enclosure?
I think it would just be a more precise way of handling this. I mean, we decided when we have the information to decide, and then the rest we're going to continue hoping that there can be a better outcome.
Sage, can you bifurcate
Could you
that?
rephrase that so I understand?
No, yes. So I think that there's two parts to this. One is the trellis and the barbecue.
Yes.
And I think we should make that decision today because we have all information to make that decision.
Okay.
I would, if you're going to take action on the project, you should take action on the entire project.
Okay.
Otherwise, continue it and then you can focus on doing, if you want to approve part of it at the next item, that would be best. But it has an application that should be acted upon. So it's either all should be continued or the decision made.
If someone wants to make a motion to continue this?
Sage, I'd like to make a motion to continue this for two reasons. One is I want to give the applicant the time to completely present the option that does not produce noise pollution for neighbor. At the same time, I'd like to give the applicant and the neighbor time to start a dialogue to see if they can find a mutually acceptable solution to bring to the Planning Commission.
Is that a motion?
Yes, but Sage, I want to make sure that it's copacetic.
Yes, it's understandable and clear.
I'll second.
Let's have a vote.
Chair Weaver,
Yes on the continuance.
Commissioner Apfel,
Yes.
Commissioner Tauber.
Yes.
All right, that takes care of this item.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sage, did you have anything to report to us tonight?
Believe the director's report, Julie. Sorry.
Oh, yes, you did.
There it is. There's director's report. I don't know if we've given you, we have a new format now. And this just goes over other previous months' building activities, and the activities by the ASRB and the Planning Commission. As you see, I mean, just to kind of, always one of the points to look at on the third sheet, or the second sheet, but the third page, is the building permit activities for June. And always looking at the valuations is interesting to note from last fiscal year to current fiscal year. So it's $20 million more at this point in valuation. And that could be due to a number of things. It's usually partially due to larger projects or more projects. Also, it can be due to increased materials cost and costs. But when you look at that, you look at kind of the number of permits being issued and the different types of permits. Just overall, there's more permits being issued. But when you look at some of the larger items like a new buildings, there's 33 last year at this time. Now there's 37. So that has partially to do with just kind of the increase in construction that we've seen over the past year. That's all I have to add.
All right. Anyone have any questions for Sage?
Sorry, I just will note that this is the last meeting before the August recess. And so, when this item comes back, it'll be after August recess. That we'll be in touch with the applicant and the neighbors, just to make sure there is dialogue. And whenever those materials are submitted, we'll bring that back to the Planning Commission in the future.
All right. Thank you for working that, Sage. In that case, this meeting is adjourned.